Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of our podcast on Soul Talk. I'm Agnes Dicruz Rajesh, your host, taking you through this enlightening journey where we explore the intersection of spirituality, personal growth, and professional development through our talks with Elvis De Silva, our esteemed corporate trainer, known for his unique approach to fostering growth and transformation in the workplace. In this episode, we'll be discussing a critical issue faced by many young professionals and freshers entering the corporate world, the crisis of values. As they navigate this new environment, many young employees find themselves at a crossroad, grappling with clash between personal beliefs and professional expectations. Together with Elvis, we'll delve into how this value crisis impacts the youth and explore ways to help them align their personal and professional lives while trying to stay true to their core values. So stay tuned as we enter into an insightful conversation that promises to inspire and empower. So, welcome to this podcast, Elvis. How are you today?
Good, Agnes, and thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Most welcome. So, to begin with this podcast, Elvis, let
Mhm.
us try to understand what exactly do you mean when you say value crisis?
So, value crisis in my corporate trainings, when I go and meet and I do the trainings. So, one thing I observe very commonly, there is a common thread across the industry, is that the industry is facing a lot of challenge when it comes to uh, young freshers who are joining the company. Yeah, and the areas of challenge that they face is with the commitment, with the accountability, with the ownership, leadership. So all these are challenges which the companies are facing, and there is a lot of trainings happening on these areas in order to make them accountable, to make them take the ownership, the responsibility, and so it's a plethora of things that comes when it comes to values. So even the young generation would not like to be corrected. They would not like to be scolded. Uh, you know, uh, so they would take drastic decisions. They would, directly leave, abscond from workplace, even without any intimation. Not even thinking back over that, oh, what would be the repercussions of such hasty decisions on their career.
Right.
So, and many other things, making false documents, and not having any form of commitment for small rise of salary which a competitor may be offering. They would immediately jump, hop from one organization to another. So there are n number of issues when it comes to values.
So you said there are n number of issues. That means I'm
Mhm,
sure you too must have come across probably a few young trainers who have spoken to you about their issues, or you
mhm,
yourself coming from a very spiritual and value-based background have
mhm,
faced it in your own journey. So,
mhm,
would you be able to share some examples of how this conflict between
mhm,
personal values and the corporate affects individuals and the teams that you
mhm.
eventually will work for?
Yeah, basically what suffers is teamwork. So
Mhm,
when my values are not in place, when I do not have the right approach, the right attitude towards my work, towards my life, the team also suffers, because by and large, I'm a part of a team. I'm like, that brick in the whole building. And if that one brick is weak or it breaks, so it affects the entire structure. And that is how the teams are affected. That is how the organizations are affected. So the other aspect of that is having a very self-oriented approach towards work, only focusing on self-growth and not looking the self in the others. So self, the definition of self for the young labor, the graduates, is that it's my self-development. But did not realize that when they have that open approach, when they are open to help others, when they're open to help others grow, they themselves grow in turn. So that is somewhere missing, which affects it affects the synergy. It does not let synergy happen. So it's always 1 plus 1 is only 2. It never becomes 11. So that is one challenge when it comes to values. And I would not bifurcate it as personal and professional, because value is not something, only related to personal life. Uh, in fact, value is a basis of professionalism. So even organizations, their value is their base. Then all the other things, rotate around it. The product, the service, all depicts what are their values. It is just an inaction of their, it is an expression of their values.
So what I'm understanding is the corporate also have their own set of value system with which they
Yes,
perform.
every corporate has it.
Yeah. And yet we find many people struggling to align
Mm-hmm,
their own self in this particular system that is there.
mm-hmm,
So can you give us some insights on how can one young trainer,
mm-hmm,
you know, find some strategic practices, or how he can, if there's something that you can recommend that they can
mm-hmm,
maintain their integrity while working to the
mm-hmm.
workplace expectations.
So basically, a lot of groundwork needs to be done on the mindset, on the attitude. Yeah. So even when I do my trainings, I always have that element that the start element is mindset. So mindset is the base for every change. So even if I want a professional to become very productive, I need to first work on the mindset, on the attitude, on the approach towards work. And because value is a base, and only if I have, say for example, if I have a value of working hard, if I have the value of ownership, I will take ownership of my project. I will not make excuses. I will not blame others, because I stand by the value of taking ownership. And when I take the ownership as my value, I also take responsibility. So wherever the project suffers, wherever the work suffers, I take the responsibility, I take charge. And
Right.
just guess what? If every team member takes charge in the team,
Mhm.
how beautiful the work will be.
Absolutely.
So as a trainer, I need to inculcate, I need to work on the mindset, I need to work on the approach. And for that, we can use many concepts, many tools, many
Mhm.
activities that can bring in this uh, approach, can bring in this mindset of collaboration rather than competition.
True, true, true. Can you give us one example of one such activity where you
Yeah,
can bring
so
about a change in mindset?
there is one very famous activity. I use it. It's my favorite one. It's
Mhm.
called as win as much as you can. So I do this activity for collaboration, and there are many others which bring in that spirit of team building.
Mhm.
So these activities bring in that message that I need not work in isolation. I should work in team. I should help the other. I should not judge. I should what do you say? Not judge people whether but treat everyone equally and collaborate, help others win, and that is how I win. So this is one particular activity that brings in this concept, this message of collaboration very clearly.
Wonderful, wonderful. So
Mhm,
this I understand that as an individual trainer going to a corporate, this is
mhm.
what change you can bring about in that corporate. But
Right.
then there are many corporates who just do this for the heck of doing it.
So
Sometimes they
you,
want to tick in the box, isn't it, that we have conducted something. Now, in your opinion,
mhm,
what role you think that these companies should play in adding value crisis among their younger
right.
employees?
Great. So see, also things happen on both the sides. Yeah, like it is not just in Hindi we say, no, tali ek haath se nahi bajti. It is both the sides need to be seen, not just a professional, but also the corporate where the professional is working. So whatever policies that we have, whatever reward systems that we have, appraisal system that we have, should not be only focused on individual contribution. It should also take into account how good a team player is this professional. How much has he helped others grow? And when we bring in such such criterias for performance, it will encourage the professionals to help others. Because as we all know, people do not work, systems work. So we will also have to work on the system. We'll have to design a system in such a way that people, like, system is just a mold, and when you put something into the mold, it takes its shape. So professionals are like that, that matter in the mold. The mold is a system. So a lot of structural changes need to be done. It is not just only by training. So training also has to be accompanied by the internal policies, internal appraisal systems, reward systems that a company, that an organization has, which should which should encourage people to be a good team builder, team worker.
Right. So I think by doing this, the corporate leaders also can help towards creating an environment that respects and nurtures values among their employees,
This is
isn't it?
another aspect. This is another aspect. So even the leadership, there's a third aspect in order to fix this value crisis. Also, the leadership plays a very important role. What kind of leadership does an organization, does a department have? Is it very authoritarian? Is it very dictatorship kind of a leadership? Yeah. Is it so it needs to be more of a servant leadership, more of a parent leadership. This style of leadership will encourage and motivate others to be open to others. So I'm coming up with a book that is going to be published on the 8th of September. And the crux, the main spirit of this book, the book is for corporate leadership, which is going to bring a new perspective to corporate leadership. And the base, the foundation of this entire book rotates around servant leadership, on parent leadership.
Okay. Okay, that sounds interesting. I'm sure
Mhm,
our audiences will be looking forward to this
mhm.
very interesting book, which will give them a lot of tips in their journey as a trainer, isn't it?
Right.
So, Elvis, I want to talk a little bit about your own personal journey. Okay.
Mhm,
So, you are someone who transitioned from a seminary to corporate training.
mhm.
So, how did you incorporate your own values into your professional work?
Yeah. So values as in such, if I am a leader, I need to have that trust. I need to be open. I need to be focused on others, in others' growth. Like even if at IAM, in my firm, it's all about me training services. I have a team, and I always tell them that, don't work with me as an employee. Work with me as a business owner. I'm interested in your growth. So even if tomorrow if you leave me, yeah, even if tomorrow if you leave IIM, I want you to leave as a grown professional. When you go to my, even if you go to my competitor, even if you go to another training agency and you say that I was in IIM and that no, today ever I am, whatever I have learned, whatever attitude approach that I have got it from IIM during my tenure in IIM. So uh, that is how, it's about parent leadership. Again, it's like a parent would care for the child whether the child takes care of him or no. The parent is interested in the growth of the child, right? So a business owner who is a leader, okay, a team leader or a manager, needs to be focused on the growth of his team members, of his employees. Yeah. And when he has that spirit, yeah, even the employees, the teammates reciprocate. They reciprocate with the values. They start taking ownership. They start taking charge. And they see the leader. People do not learn by instructions. People learn by seeing. When they see their leader is standing up for them, when they see that their leader is caring for them, they reciprocate. If you see great leaders who had a following, like let's take the example in our own country, Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, okay, Shivaji Maharaj, or you also take Jesus Christ, okay, Jesus Christ. He too was a leader, right? And he showed this servant leadership, this parent leadership, and the people still follow them even though they are not physically there today.
Hmm.
So the problem is not necessarily only with the followers, with the teammates. The third angle that we just explored is about leadership.
Right.
What kind of a leadership am I having?
Mm.
And it depends on this kind of leadership, whether do I get these values in my team,
Mm.
or
Right.
are my team members always insecure? My leader will fire me. My leader will give me a show cause notice. He will give me a warning letter. So as a leader, I then create an atmosphere of insecurity, unsafety, an unsafe environment. But a true leader will say, "Oh, I don't mind. You go ahead, make mistakes, take risks. I will stand by you."
Right.
Then
Right.
people take ownership. Then people take accountability. Then they truly live by their values. Else,
Right.
they are always afraid. They are always insecure. And then they find ways which compromises on the values.
Absolutely. That is such an important thing that you have said,
Mhm,
because I have noticed that fear plays a very big role among, especially the upcoming new young trainers.
mhm.
They are afraid to stand for what they believe in, and then they get slowly deviated and compromise on their own value system sometimes.
Here we are not just seeing about trainers. We are looking by and large as a
Mm.
professional.
Mm.
So it can be any professional working in the corporate or anywhere, any sector, any
Mm.
institution, any organization.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. So for any
Mhm,
new one, any new person who's beginning,
mhm.
this can be a big issue. Fear is the biggest issue, and that can end up compromising the value system as well,
That
isn't it?
that is coming all from the factory culture, where the
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5 culture, where you had to be at that time, and then if you are not there at that place at that particular time, you are fired, or But things have changed today. Today we no more live in a factory culture. People like freedom. People like work-life balance. Yeah.
Right.
So there is a shift in the entire way the culture has changed, especially with the youngsters. And COVID has, what you say, helped this further. People would
Right.
like to work at their leisure place wherever they like to, whenever they want to.
Yeah. So that has actually brought a big difference in the
Mhm.
perspective of work itself, and also the opportunities available for the young, generations in the workforce today,
Right.
isn't
So,
it?
so this also helps values, Agnes, because see, uh, we spoke about accountability and ownership, right, as a value. So, what is accountability and ownership? It is about delivering results. I deliver results, no matter I work for an hour or I work for 10 hours. Factory culture would say whether you deliver results or no matter. But I want to see you on that chair from 9 to 5. Yeah.
Totally.
But today, the change that has happened is you have a target, you have a daily target, you have a weekly target, you fulfill it. If you fulfill it in a day's time, you have the rest of the time free. If you don't, you take ownership, you take charge and complete it. Whether you may have to work double, but now you take ownership, you take the accountability.
Yes. So I think this ownership has to come from both the sides, from the corporate as well as from the individual also,
The
isn't it?
leadership style should facilitate this, should encourage this.
Okay. So that to give a better understanding to our audience, can
Mhm.
you tell us about some of the long-term effects on a company's culture and success if this issue is not addressed? Like,
It will
what?
directly affect the numbers.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
will directly affect the numbers of the organization. It will directly affect the productivity.
Totally. Absolutely well said, because everyone needs to win. It has to be a win-win for everyone
Right.
on the whole platform,
So
right?
this just yesterday or maybe 2 days back, I was watching a video on YouTube of Ankur Wariku and his team. So Ankur Wariku is doing exceptionally well. And I was surprised to see. I had an idea that he has an office and there are all editors and content developers. But I was surprised to see that his team is spread across the globe, and everyone works from the comfort of their house whenever they want, whatever. You know, just the most important thing is that they deliver.
Yes, I think to deliver is the most important aspect
Right.
of performance right now,
The organization is
wherever
doing
we
exceptionally well. The organization is doing exceptionally well. The employees are working they have 10 different sources of income. He does not restrict it. So they are earning, like one female who's working in this team just mentioned that she earns 83 lakhs a month. The
Oh,
other mentioned he earns 10 lakhs a month. So he does not restrict. So when I restrict people that no, you cannot work elsewhere, you only have to work for me, then the person suffers financially. And when he suffers financially, then he finds out ways to compromise on his values. But when I
right.
give freedom, when I give the people freedom, yeah, freedom helps them to live by their values.
True, true. Right, absolutely. So, so what I'm understanding is first and foremost, there has to be a personal value system coming from the
Hmm.
individual himself
Hmm.
or herself, and then you start building upon it, isn't it?
Right.
So, can you tell us now? You are the founder of IAAM.
Hmm.
Okay, as the founder of IAAM, what would your advice be to anyone young professional who's joining your organization?
Hmm.
uh, on what opportunities you can give them for their own personal growth and development, keeping in mind also the value crisis.
I just put a post, I guess, 2 days back. I need content developers. I need video editors. I need social media managers. So I have asked them, please come join me. Join me from the comfort of your home. Yes, work whenever you want. Just that I need this. This will be the target. And then there is no limit for incentives. There is no limit for salary. Yeah, you please work wherever you want, wherever else you want to work. Yeah, uh, increase your bank balance. I will help you increase that. And don't work with me as an employee, work as a business owner. I will help you to build your team. I will bring you clients.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
I want them to work as my business partners, not employees.
Great. That is giving them a lot of responsibility that you
Hmm.
are part of this and ownership as well. So
Right.
I'm sure this will give them a very good platform to start as an owner itself, isn't it?
Hmm. Correct.
So, Elvis, what role do you think? I'm talking now about the spiritual, on the spiritual
Hmm.
aspect.
Hmm.
So, what role does self-reflection and spiritual growth play in
Hmm.
revolving around these conflicts for any profession? So, is it necessary that professionals should be, spiritually inclined into
Hmm.
self-reflection and thus uh, to do a great job for himself or herself?
Yes, self-reflection plays a very important role. Yeah, because only then a person becomes aware of what are those values he wants to live by. Because values are something like a non-negotiable. Come what may, I will not compromise on this. Tomorrow, if I have to suffer financially, but I will not cheat.
Okay.
But when I'm not aware of my value, for example, the value of being truthful, I
Mhm.
may, play games, I may play politics, I may, do a lot of workarounds just to get those monetary benefits. But when I know that truth is my value, I need to stand by truth. I will be honest. I will not say a lie. I will not cheat. I will not put down others. Yeah. So then a person also lives a very fruitful professional life, and that
Right.
builds his reputation, and that builds his brand. Even as organizations, brand is not about logos and wonderful designs and advertisements on the advertisement board. Brand is all about value. What are the
True.
values you stand by? What are the values the organization stands by? And that builds trust. Then people start trusting you. Then you build bonds. For example, there's a company called as Zoho. Zoho is into CRM, customer relationship management softwares. There was a time in 2007 when there was a recession, and they had their numbers went down drastically, and they were in a situation that they had to lay off because every other company was laying off the employees. But they stood by the value of recruitment to retirement.
Okay.
They will not lay off the people, whatever come what may. So they lived by that value. It was their non-negotiable. They sat down with their team, they brainstormed, Okay, there is recession, this product is not working. What else can we make? They came out with a new product. Yeah, and the company that was making $10 million loss went into $20 million profit. So what brought this change? It was the value that they were standing by, that we will not abandon people.
Right.
The time was difficult, it was very difficult. The situation was as such that they should have laid off people, but they stood by it, and they got 2x times the returns of it.
Fantastic. So this is a very good example of standing true to values, how it can build
Right.
yourself and also in return help everyone else who is involved with it. Right. So I think we've got very clear insights on what role our own value systems play as an individual. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so Elvis, you've had a journey of about 8 years, I think 9 years overall
Mm-hmm. Right.
into this corporate, right? So I'm sure that you were not here when you started.
Right.
You were having conflicts in your mind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm asking you this question because I know there are many of us, maybe in our own group, in our
Mm-hmm.
own family too, in our
Mm-hmm.
own IAM family, who are
Mm-hmm.
standing there with a lot of questions, questioning themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you just walk us through or let's give us some idea about the struggle of
Mm-hmm.
this conflict that is going on in the mind to recognize one's own value, what step to take first, and how to get moving, because
Yeah.
ultimately we all want to reach a very good position. Now you've become a very
Mm-hmm.
roaring example for everybody right now in this
Mm-hmm.
corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you give us a very nice example of your own struggle from the beginning as you were beginning to get into this corporate world? Your thoughts during those times.
Yes. So see, initially what happens that everyone is in a pressure to perform, to, prove that you are the best and you have talent. And even the market is like that, that it, pressurizes you to prove yourself. And therefore, many a times we may find out some shortcuts. But that is not long-lived. The shortcuts are never long-lived because the foundation is not deep. It may just seem like as though a person is doing very well or so I would here use the an analogy of SIP, like systematic investment plan. It's a long term investment where you do not get immediate benefits. For those who are aware, yeah, who invest into SIPs, so you have to wait in the market, you have to let it grow. There will always be fluctuations, the market will go up, the market will come down, but only when you wait for a longer time you get bigger returns, larger returns. So values are something like that. For momentary you may not gain something, you may in fact go in loss, you may in fact have to suffer for it, but when you stand by it for a longer time it will give you results. And secondly, I would also connect it with the analogy of a Maggie and a biryani. A Maggie you will get it in 2 minutes, right? But a biryani takes time. So standing by values may not give you immediate benefits. You are being honest, you are being very professional. There are others who play around, but you don't play around. So you will see that, oh, I'm doing so much, but nothing is happening. But others, they are growing, they're prospering. So why should I also let me also compromise on the values? Let me also work around. Yeah. But you need to wait, you need to stand by those values, and you will get the returns in the longer time. In the longer time you will get those returns, because now the your foundation of that values is so strong that you will build a reputation for yourself, you will build a brand for yourself, and people see it, people can see it, people
So
notice.
you're talking about persistence and perseverance and
Right.
patience.
Right.
Yeah. So that will make it three P's. Right.
Correct.
So
Correct.
with these three P's, you can definitely get there and to create a wonderful base
Mm-hmm.
to set yourself going. Okay. And yeah, and there was one thing I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, for those who are in doubt, who are still trying to find themselves to enhance their skills and to do much more, I hear you are offering a lot of courses and such kind of programs. for upcoming trainers, or also for
Mhm.
existing trainers to improve on their skills and to
Right.
become sound. So can
Mhm.
you tell us something about those programs that you're conducting?
Currently, we are undergoing a program called as Trainers Commando Training
Mhm,
because I see there are many aspiring trainers who want to be corporate trainers. And
mhm,
so right now we have a batch of almost 80 trainers in the group, in the batch.
mhm,
It's a course that is going to run for 3 months,
mhm,
12 sessions every Monday, 8 p.m. And it covers everything. We have broken it down into three laps. The first lap is, we are calling it the runway. The second lap is takeoff, and the
mhm,
third lap is fly. So
mhm,
the first lap is all about mindset, knowing yourself, setting your goals. The second lap will get more into, the training aspect, finding your niche and building your signature programs and how to market it. And the last lap would be about looking training as a business, how to develop your own business as a trainer. Because you see, many trainers in the market are underpaid by training vendors, by training agencies, and they work for peanuts. Though their work is actually a value 10 times, but they did not get that. So this course is all about that. This course is about, uh, you know, growing as a trainer and looking training as a business,
okay, wonderful.
especially for budding trainers, the trainers who are aspiring to be trainers,
Okay. So you're enhancing their skills and giving them a
right?
solid foundation and the tools. Okay.
Correct. Everything, yeah.
Also, you're adding value so that they can address any crisis that will come up in their
Yes.
profession, right?
They get a
That's
toolkit, which I did not mention. Along with this course, they get a toolkit of 70 GB that I have developed over 8 years. Toolkit, in a sense, it has everything that a trainer needs, all the games and techniques, how to open the training program, how to close it, how to animate it, how to facilitate the training. A lot of stuff which is given free of cost. It's given free of cost. My communication bundle, which no, I conducted for an IT firm, is free of cost, and many other benefits, many other bonuses are along with this.
wonderful. I'm sure
Mm.
anyone associated with IAAM is going to get all this and much more, being in the umbrella of the IAM family,
Right?
right? This is wonderful, Elvis. And for the final takeaway, any advice you have for our listeners, so that they
Mhm.
can remember how they can balance their values and professional responsibilities?
Mhm. So to begin with, I have a very specific message for the professionals who are starting their career, who are just coming out of the college from their graduation and joining an organization. I would say that do not keep hopping organizations in every few months or in a year or in a half, 1.5 year. Stick to an organization at least for 2 to 3 years, a minimum. Learn, grow, you do not learn in the very few months, in the very few first months. You just get adapted, you observe things. The growth begins later. You have just started taking roots and immediately uproot yourself and go to another place and immediately try to plant yourself there. Again, you're just catching roots, you uproot yourself, you go to a third organization. So this will not only be harmful for you, it will also be harmful for your career by and large. Because any other organization that you go, they would always ask you, how long have you been there? And then you would try to compromise on your values. You will try to cheat. You may try to give some false documents, which cannot be hidden, which cannot be hidden. Yeah.
Right.
And it is also a very big question mark on your commitment.
Mm.
Guess if you are into a relationship, if you are in a relationship with a girl, I'm giving this example because this will best help you understand. And you are 6 months in a relationship with her, then you change your partner again next 6 months. And then when you go to the fourth one, she will tell you, she will have her questions. How long will you be with her? Same applies to organizations. So commit yourself wherever you join, make a very sound decision, and take ownership, take accountability of your work. Work as a business owner, not as an employee. You're not an employee of that organization, you're a business owner. Add value, be an asset to the organization.
Yes.
And this is how you learn, this is how you grow. Do not just be focused on your job profile. Try to understand how does the business run. Yeah. And then tomorrow, when you work as an entrepreneur, not just an as an employee, from an entrepreneur, you may also become an entrepreneur because now you have so much of knowledge. You know how things work.
Totally, totally. That is something very important.
Hmm.
Accountability and credibility matters a lot because
Hmm.
this is going to appear on your CV, and this
Right.
CV is going to be seen by everybody. So you have to hold and make a very good, accountable CV for yourself. So stay put, learn, understand the culture, take ownership of the place where you're working.
Also,
Isn't
lastly, Agnes, just to add to it,
it?
having said that, you please not take me literally. Do not take it, literally. If you're in an organization for 2, 3 years and you see yourself that you're not growing, yeah, now there may be a challenge with the organization. Maybe the organization is not giving you an opportunity, or maybe the problem is with you that you are not upskilling yourself. You are not giving an opportunity for the organization to help you to grow in terms of your monetary benefits when it comes to your salary increments and your position. So
Correct.
if you see that 3 to 5 years you are into that same place and nothing is happening, it is high time to reflect. Are you stagnant or are you in the wrong place?
Right.
And also the organizations need to help employees grow. If you do not help them to grow, you will see them go.
Correct. So I think this is a game that both sides, the employee
Mhm.
and the employer, both needs to play at the same time to
Right.
understand what is best for both, and it
Mhm.
needs to be a win-win situation for both the parties, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So that was wonderful, Elvis. Thank you so much for sharing all these
Mhm.
invaluable insights with us today. Your deep understanding of the challenges that young professionals face in the corporate world has certainly given us a lot to think about. And it's been enlightening to hear your thoughts on navigating crisis and how we can all survive to create a more authentic and value driven workplace. To our listeners, we hope this conversation has inspired you to reflect upon your own values and how they align with your professional journey. Until next time, stay true to yourself and keep growing. This is Agnes Cruz Rajesh signing off from Soul Talk, and thank you for tuning in. And thank you so much, Elvis, for the wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Agnes. And thank you, all the viewers.